Hi everyone, it's weekly check-in time. I know I'm a little bit off with the weeks, but you know, I think as long as I'm sort of kind of doing them every week, it counts as a weekly check-in. I just had to play back my old weekly check-in to kind of see where I was at, and it's strange kind of when you look back and you're like, wow, was that really what was kind of going on? And that seems like months ago, and I don't know, time just sort of... Time's weird, you know what I mean? Like, something can seem like yesterday and it's like months ago, and then something else can seem like it was 3 years ago and it was yesterday. So, yeah, time's pretty weird like that. But yeah, it's been a pretty good week. With work, we actually had one of our shifts cancelled in the end, and yeah, it was just a bit devastating because you kind of thought I'd dodged the bullet and everything was fine, and worked the whole of last week, and I was like, yeah, excellent, that was fine, didn't have any shifts cut, and then ended up having one shift sort of cut. So that was a little bit upsetting, but I must say I'm just so super impressed with my employer and how they've just really been trying to accommodate us. It was things that were outside of their control. It ended up turning out being, and I'm just really impressed with the lengths that they went to make sure that we were okay. And it just sort of, yeah, I just thought it was pretty cool. I've got my apron on, by the way. I'm just busy cooking some lunch up, so you might hear appliances beeping in a bit, but yeah, so it was a pretty good week. One thing that I really learned this week was again, just about being a victim to your circumstances, and how to avoid that, and how to not let what's happening around you affect you. And what I really learned this week is that it's all about inner dialogue. So to avoid being a victim to your circumstances, it really is about your inner dialogue. And I kind of learned that in a couple of ways. The one was just when all these things were happening at work, and I was just like, oh, what's going on? Everything's just falling apart. I want to be doing this, and this is happening, and then there's this happening, and I was just sort of really getting myself into a dark space, and sort of not blowing things out of proportion, but really blowing things out of proportion. And once I really kind of looked at things in a really logical way, and I thought to myself, like, kind of what's the worst that can happen? And I did that with a few things where I thought, okay, well, what's the worst that can happen in this situation? What's the worst that can happen in this situation? And as I sort of started being realistic with myself about the worst thing that could happen, I realized that a lot of what was going on wasn't really that bad. I think also just meeting and interacting with people that have got I'm not going to say real problems, because everybody's problem is real to them, and what might be very real and very upsetting for me might to somebody else seem like absolutely nothing. And these sort of scales that go down, some people might have a terminal disease, and they might think somebody concerned about where they're going to live is minimal because life is more important, but then somebody else might be really upset because they're having an argument with their friends, where somebody else is like, well, I don't have anywhere to live. You know what I mean? So people's problems, I think, are sort of on a scale, but they're always real to you. And I've always been really conscious of not dismissing things that concern me, but also trying not to let them completely consume me. And I found that that's kind of where I was heading down, was this path of them, like, yeah, consuming me, and really becoming, as I say, a victim to my circumstances, and allowing my circumstances to dictate my inner strength and my inner peace, for lack of a better word. And yeah, I just really discovered that as I was thinking all these things, and I literally felt as though, like, my head was just like going nuts and going crazy, and like this big churning thing, and it wasn't really pleasant. And I just thought to myself, but be conscious of your thoughts, because that's really where all this chaos is coming from. Things have happened, and I went into work the one day, and I thought to myself, like, what happens if we go in and there's no more shifts, and this and that, and all money and all these kind of stresses. And I just thought to myself, what's going to happen is going to happen, but your inner dialogue is causing it to be a lot worse. The other experience that I had is while I was at work, and busy fundraising, and person next to me was doing really well, and I was just sort of a little bit slow in getting sort of out there. And again, I was like, oh, everyone's better than me, and you know, she's doing so well, and he's doing well, and they're doing well, and all this kind of stuff. And I thought to myself, like, what kind of unconscious energy are you sending out? And I've been noticing that a lot. It's like, what energy and what kind of thoughts, and what are you sending out? People always talk about what are you sending out to the universe, and I'm not a massive, I suppose, I don't know, I don't like sort of repeating that. It's not something that particularly really resonates with me, but I do think that if you are sending out a lot of negativity, that you will only really be receptive to a lot of negativity, whereas if you're sending out a lot of positivity, you're receptive to a lot of positivity. It's kind of like you're attracted to what you're sending out. So I suppose in that way it's kind of similar to what you're sending out to the universe. Yeah, and I just sort of became really conscious of this inner dialogue. And you know, if you're constantly telling yourself, you know, that person's better than you, and that person's better than you, and this person, that person, then of course you're never going to feel like you're good enough. So I just started to say a couple of sort of positive affirmations to myself that are, you know, I'm confident and I come across clearly. I'm confident and convincing was one that I was saying to myself. And I attract people that would like to, you know, do business with me. Was another one that I put out. And I really started to think about times when I'd felt really confident about what I was doing, and that inner feeling that you get when you are really confident about what you're doing, and try to sort of project that. So big lesson that I learned this week is, you know, to avoid being a victim to your circumstances, control your inner dialogue, because that really at the end of the day is pretty much anything that you can control. I had a really good chat with a friend of mine about circumstances and people's actions, and you know, I really, we can't control other people's actions. We can never control our circumstances 100%. Even if you have everything laid out and a perfect plan laid out, things will always happen that are outside of your control. But your inner dialogue is always something that you can control, and that's really where it starts to it starts the healing process. I think begins from your inner dialogue. So my kind of focus for the next couple of weeks is just really to be mindful of my inner dialogue and what I'm saying to myself, and just be mindful of what I'm sending out, because at the end of the day, if I'm sending out, oh, you know, I hope no one does this, or, you know, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about that, then I'm going to be really receptive to that, and whether it happens or not is outside of my control. But I think it'll affect me more if you're thinking, oh, I hope my ship doesn't get cancelled, or I'm really concerned, I'm really concerned, and when it does, it's like that's you know, I knew it, oh, everything's, you know, horrible and terrible, and you just sort of spiral downwards. Whereas if you're going confident and hoping for the best, if it doesn't happen, you've still got that positivity that you're attracting, and you can see the good out of things. So yeah, inner dialogue definitely going to be a focus for me for the next while. I've also just posted a blog post about an avocado skin exfoliant that I tried. It was really cool. A couple of things that I need to tweak with it, but it's something that's been on my to-do list or must-do list or must-try list for absolute ages. It was really nice to kind of just finally get it done. And you know, I think sometimes we put all these things on a list, and it's just as simple as just doing them, rather than just having this endless list of things that we need to do. So I'm pretty stoked that I was able to get that done. It's coming up to Christmas too, so yeah, just really looking forward to kind of winding down and just reflecting on the year that was. In the next couple of days or sort of week or so, I'm going to do a review on a daily greatness journal that I've been using this year, which I think is just absolutely fabulous. I think it's really helped me have such a impactful year this year, so that'll be coming up as well. Anyway, I hope you have a great week, and remember to avoid being a victim of your circumstances. It's all about controlling that inner dialogue and what you're saying to yourself. Take care, have a great week.